We all know Abraham and Jacob, but what about Isaac? Genesis 26, often overlooked, is packed with lessons for anyone feeling stuck in the shadows. This chapter isn't just about ancient wells, it's about finding strength in quiet faith, choosing peace over conflict, and trusting God's promises in the everyday struggles. Let's dive in and discover how Isaac's story can transform the way we face our own challenges. Isaac's story begins in a land gripped by relentless famine. The earth is parched, the crops have withered, and every day is a struggle for survival. The sun beats down mercilessly, and the people are desperate, searching for any sign of hope. Isaac, the son of Abraham, finds himself facing the same harsh reality his father once endured, a test of faith in the face of overwhelming adversity. Just as Abraham had done years before, Isaac looks out over the barren land, remembering the stories of his father's journey through hardship. The weight of legacy and expectation rests heavily on his shoulders. He knows the logical choice: to leave, to seek refuge in Egypt, where the Nile's waters promise life and sustenance. The decision seems obvious. Egypt is a land of plenty, a place where many have gone to escape famine. Isaac and his family begin to prepare for the journey, gathering their belongings and saying quiet goodbyes to the land they've called home. But just as they are about to depart, God intervenes. In a moment of divine clarity, Isaac hears a voice. "Do not go down to Egypt. Stay in the land where I tell you. I will be with you and bless you." It's a command that defies all human logic, a call to trust in something greater than circumstance. Against every instinct for self-preservation, Isaac chooses to obey. He remains in Gerar, a foreign land surrounded by uncertainty. There are no arguments, no attempts to negotiate, just quiet, steadfast trust in God's promise. It's a decision that sets him apart, a moment where faith triumphs over fear. In response to Isaac's obedience, God reaffirms the covenant he made with Abraham. He promises Isaac not only survival, but abundance, land to call his own, and a future filled with hope. The promise is clear. Isaac's descendants will inherit this land, and through them, all nations will be blessed. God's words echo under the vast night sky. Your descendants will be as numerous as the stars. Isaac looks up, awed by the magnitude of the promise. Each star is a reminder of God's faithfulness, a symbol of hope shining in the darkness. Isaac's willingness to stay, to work the land even when it seems hopeless, becomes the foundation for all the blessings that follow. His obedience, rooted in trust rather than understanding, transforms his circumstances. The barren fields begin to yield crops, and his household flourishes in the very place others had abandoned. True faith is more than belief, it's action. It's choosing to follow God's word, especially when it challenges our plans and defies our expectations. Isaac's story reminds us that faith is often tested in the hardest moments, when the path forward is unclear and the world tells us to run. Sometimes the greatest blessings come not from escaping hardship, but from staying put and trusting God in the midst of it. Isaac's test of faith is a timeless lesson. When we choose to trust and obey, even in the toughest places, we open the door for God's extraordinary blessings to unfold in our lives. In Gerar, Isaac's fear for his safety leads him to lie about Rebekah, calling her his sister, just like Abraham did. His deception is exposed when King Abimelech sees Isaac and Rebekah together. Instead of punishment, Abimelech protects them, warning his people not to harm them. God's grace covers Isaac's mistake, showing that even when we falter, God's faithfulness remains. Our failures don't cancel God's promises. His protection often comes in unexpected ways. In a land scorched by drought and uncertainty, Isaac stands as a beacon of hope. Against all odds, he sows his fields, trusting in a promise greater than the parched earth beneath his feet. As the sun beats down and famine grips the land, Isaac's faith does not waver. Miraculously, his crops flourish, and he reaps 100-fold harvest, an abundance so astonishing that it defies explanation. His fields, once barren, now overflow with golden grain, a testament to perseverance and divine favor. But such blessing does not go unnoticed. The Philistines, his neighbors, watch with growing envy as Isaac's fortunes rise. Their hearts fill with resentment, unable to understand how he prospers while others struggle. Whispers of jealousy ripple through the community, and suspicion takes root. Driven by envy, the Philistines sabotage Isaac's wells, the very source of his life and livelihood. They fill them with dirt, cutting off his water and forcing him to leave behind the land he has worked so hard to cultivate. Each well destroyed is a blow not just to his prosperity, but to his sense of belonging. Yet Isaac does not retaliate. He chooses not to fight or seek revenge. Instead, he gathers his family and belongings and moves on, determined to begin again. With quiet strength, he digs new wells in unfamiliar, rocky ground, only to face more disputes and opposition from those around him. Each time conflict arises, Isaac yields rather than escalate. He names the wells contention and opposition, marking the struggles he endures. But he refuses to let bitterness take root in his heart. His actions speak of humility and a deep trust that his provision comes from a higher source. Finally, after much perseverance, Isaac digs a well, and for the first time there is no quarrel. No one comes to contest his claim. He names this well Rehoboth, saying, "Now the Lord has given us room, and we will flourish in the land." It is a moment of relief and gratitude, a reward for his patience and faith. Isaac's journey is not just about survival, but about the power of perseverance and the wisdom of choosing peace over conflict. His refusal to fight for every right, his willingness to walk away from strife, opens the door to a life of abundance and harmony. He shows that true strength is found not in domination, but in resilience and grace. Sometimes the bravest act of faith is to walk away from a fight, trusting that what is meant for you cannot be taken by others. Isaac's story reminds us that letting go is not weakness, but a courageous step towards something greater. Peace isn't passive, it's an active, courageous choice. It means trusting God as your provider, even when circumstances seem unfair or uncertain. It means believing that your worth and your future are not defined by conflict, but by faith and perseverance. Isaac's story shows us that sometimes yielding and choosing peace can lead to blessings far greater than winning every battle. In the end, it is not the struggle, but the steadfastness and trust in something greater that brings true abundance and lasting peace. Isaac's journey brings him to Beersheba, a place deeply woven into the tapestry of his family's story. This land, marked by the footsteps of his father Abraham, holds memories of past promises and divine encounters. As Isaac arrives, the desert stretches before him, vast, silent, and filled with the echoes of his ancestors' faith. The ancient well stands as a silent witness to generations who trusted God in this very place. Isaac's move is not just a change of location, it's a return to the roots of his heritage, a step into the legacy of faith that began long before him. That night, under a sky ablaze with countless stars, God appears to Isaac. The voice that once spoke to Abraham now speaks to his son. "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you." In the stillness of the wilderness, these words carry immense weight. God's presence is not just a comfort. It is a reaffirmation of the covenant, a promise that the journey, with all its challenges and uncertainties, is guided by divine hands. Isaac is reminded that he is never alone, that the same God who led his father now walks beside him. Moved by this encounter, Isaac responds in faith. He builds an altar, a sacred space to honor God's presence and promises. He pitches his tent, choosing to settle and make this land his home, despite its challenges. He digs a well, investing in the future and trusting that God will provide water in the desert. Each act, worship, settling, and working the land, reflects Isaac's trust in God's word and his willingness to embrace the promise given to his family. This encounter marks the climax of Isaac's journey. After seasons of wandering, conflict, and uncertainty, God meets him in a moment of quiet faithfulness. Isaac's choices, to obey, to worship, to settle, become the turning point where God's promises are confirmed. The dawn over the desert signals not just a new day, but a new chapter in Isaac's life, filled with hope and assurance. In the peace that follows, Isaac experiences a deeper sense of God's presence. Obedience and trust open the door to divine encounters, and the quiet of the desert becomes a sanctuary where God's voice is heard more clearly. The landscape, once harsh and uncertain, is now filled with the promise of blessing and peace. When we choose to trust, worship, and obey, even in unfamiliar or challenging places, God meets us there. He confirms his promises, renews our hope, and invites us into a deeper relationship with him. Like Isaac, we discover that the turning points in our journey often come when we step out in faith and embrace God's presence, wherever we are. Abimelech, once Isaac's adversary, returns with his officials seeking peace. He admits, "We saw clearly that the Lord was with you." The same people who envied Isaac now want a treaty, recognizing God's blessing on his life. Isaac welcomes them, shares a feast, and makes a covenant of peace. That very day his servants find water, another sign of God's provision. The well is named Sheba, and the city becomes Beersheba, well of the oath. Choosing peace turns enemies into allies and brings lasting blessing. Isaac's story is a blueprint for modern faith. Trust God's direction even when it defies logic. Stay put when he says stay. Choose peace over conflict, knowing God is your defender. Quiet obedience and perseverance are seen by God even when the world overlooks you. When we live with integrity and faith, God's blessing becomes undeniable, even to our critics. Dig your own wells of faith and trust that God will make room for you to flourish.